Cardano ADA has been the underdog within the top 10 cryptocurrencies for the last several years. You had a lot of people pooping on it, and I really never fully understood why. It was always in the top 10 for a reason. Now, the United States government wants to add ADA to the US Crypto Strategic Reserve. The very first crypto reserve they're ever going to create, they're going to put ADA in it. So that means David Sachs and his crypto working group were doing lots of research on cryptos, right, for the President of the United States. And most likely, they gave him recommendations as to what they thought should go into the Crypto Strategic Reserve. Now, I might want to ask you this question, and this is a good question for me to ask because I'm just a dude in my home office, right? And it's a good question for yourself to ask. Why did all these crypto influencers crap all over ADA for all these years? Yet, somehow, the very first crypto working group that we actually had that was trying to incorporate crypto within the United States government, when they look at it and they say, which ones do we like? Well, they obviously picked the ones that we probably would have figured. Bitcoin, Ethereum, right? Everybody loves Solana, and all the influencers all over the internet love Solana too. I'm not bashing Solana, but obviously that one's on there too because Solana has a lot to offer. XRP was a big one because, let's face it, they're granddaddy too, and they helped fight the SEC, and they proved that XRP wasn't a security. And if XRP is not a security, then multiple cryptos aren't securities, right? And now banks want to use them. So they're a part of the big group. But why ADA? Why has it been overlooked, but yet the United States government has seen something special with it? Well, let's think about this for a second. ADA has been around since 2017. It has been in the top 10 pretty much ever since then. It has had zero issues with the blockchain in the sense that it has gone down. The blockchain has never, ever gone down. It has 100% uptime. What else? It is built as a UTXO model. It's an extended UTXO model, just like Bitcoin. It now has a governance layer to it, which out of all the cryptos that have been added to the Crypto Strategic Reserve, Cardano is the only one that is actually figuring out a way to how to have a decentralized governance structure on top of the blockchain, which means however how much ADA you hold in your wallet, you can vote. And there's also a treasury within Cardano. Cardano funds itself. So it's a proof of stake protocol. So every single time there's a transaction, right? A little piece of that transaction goes into the treasury, and it just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up. And then eventually people on the blockchain, on the Cardano blockchain, if you hold ADA, you are a voter. You have the right and the privilege of voting to see which projects are going to get funding out of the decentralized Cardano treasury. It's a really cool concept. So I can kind of see why the United States government might be interested in that, especially if it's very decentralized. And here's the issue I think a lot of influencers had. This is what it really gets down to, is that Cardano, for the most part, was a slow moving upgradable blockchain. And what I mean by that is not that it wasn't upgradable, because it was. The problem was they just took their time in the grand scheme of things. They didn't move as fast, especially in the crypto industry. Everything has to move super, super fast, right? Well, with Cardano, most of it was peer reviewed, right? Which means that if they were going to come up with a new method to upgrade the protocol, they were going to write a paper, come up with the methodology to do that. Then they were going to ask scholars, cryptographers, other people within that field that might understand things that are bigger than my understanding, right? They're going to look at that stuff. They're going to review it. They're going to study it. And then they're going to put their stamp of approval of like, yes, we think this is good. And then they get multiple people to do that. And then the paper gets published. And then they have their engineers after that really start to utilize what was published in the paper and build a program that you basically uses what the paper provided that was peer reviewed. That's a lot of steps, right? I mean, just talking about that took a little while. So you can see it's a problem for people that want to just make money real quick and like, I want to have something pumped to the moon and then I can dump it and then, recycle. A lot of that is in crypto, and everybody, if you're investing in crypto, obviously part of the reason you're doing it is to make money. I mean, no shame in that. But here's the issue, is that Cardano was doing things slowly and methodically, and they were doing things right, in my opinion. And I think that's why they were added to the US Crypto Strategic Reserve, because people see the value in that. And now Cardano has a map. it has a roadmap to scale to get even faster. It is not that slow, guys. I'm telling you, right, I've used Cardano. I've used Cardano DEXs. It only takes a few seconds for a transaction to complete. If the blockchain is really fast, or excuse me, if it's really clogged up, it might take like a minute for the transaction to complete, which, I mean, if it's really busy, but that's like not that big of a deal. I remember when smart contracts first launched back in, like, what was it, 2021? And they first started adding DEXs and stuff like Sunday Swap. Yeah, sometimes it would take like an hour for a transaction because the blockchain was just so busy. But Cardano methodically had ways to upgrade their system, and they've been doing that over the past few years. And now it runs very smooth. It's highly decentralized. It only takes a few seconds for transactions to run. Is it as fast as Solana? No, not yet. But they've proven that they can do that because they actually had this Doom tournament where they basically have this protocol, or I don't even fully understand it, but it's called Hydra. And it's basically a way to create super fast transactions on the Cardano blockchain. And they ran the game Doom on Hydra. And every single time, and it was a worldwide tournament. You could do it online. I played it for a little bit. It was super cool. And what you could do is literally every movement that you did in that game, all around the world, every single player, that counted as a transaction. And believe it or not, it got to 1 million transactions per second. That was on the Cardano blockchain. This is just a test prototype that they are now building and going to implement into the wider world. And guess what? It's been peer reviewed. And guess what? It didn't shut down when all those people were playing that Doom game. So that's pretty incredible if you think about it. And also, you have to think about it. A lot of people, you look at crypto transactions and they call it TPS, like transactions per second. How many transactions per second does a blockchain have? Well, Cardano, you can't really measure it that way because it's an extended UTXO model. And basically what that means is within a transaction, within a block, you have multiple transactions. So if you're sending one block or one transaction on the Cardano blockchain, right, you're having multiple transactions within that block. So it's not one transaction per second. You just can't measure it exactly the same. They're on a different playing field. Bitcoin has its place. It's awesome. Ethereum, same thing. It's awesome, has its place. Solana, same thing. XRP, same thing. ADA is in a class of its own. It's in its own lane. And I think you really now have to start thinking that this has been the underdog for several years. If the United States government is now looking at ADA and Cardano, the Cardano blockchain, and wanting to add it to its very first ever crypto strategic reserve, what do you think's going to happen right now? What do you think Wall Street is doing? Just think about that for a second. If you've overlooked ADA for all this time, and now you realize the technology is actually there, and the first crypto working group to advise the president on what to add, what cryptos to add to the strategic reserve, the very first one that they add, one of them is ADA, you then have to say to yourself, okay, has this, you know Wall Street people are looking at it. And also, you have to ask yourself too, has there been a combined effort to try to keep ADA, Cardano down, to try to push all these other coins forward? That's the other thing you really have to think about. Something to think about too. So anyways, Cardano's the underdog, but it's not going to be the underdog for very long. So anyways, that's just my 2 cents. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.